Hello, my name's Aidan Brown. Today I'll be presenting my work on classifying protoplanetary disks using deep learning systems. The goal was to explore whether combining raw image data with domain-informed radial profile features could improve automated disk classification. The study builds on an end-to-end pipeline from pre-processing to model evaluation, demonstrating how machine learning can assist in analyzing complex astronomical data sets. In this presentation, I'll go over the motive and significance, data pre-processing in class, model architecture and training, results, accuracy and interpretations, implications, strengths, limitations, and future work. To meet the team, there's me, Aiden Brown, followed along by myself and I. This was a solo project, but the heathens were there. To give you a little bit of background, what if I told you that each one of these rings in this image, of course, artist rendered, um, could be a brand new planet in the making? Yet, manually analyzing the thousands of these images we get would take decades more than we really have. Uh, All right. To go over the motivation, protoplanetary disks exhibit a wide range of structures, including concentric rings, gaps, and spiral arms. These features carry information about the evolution of the disk and potential formation. Traditionally, astronomers analyze these features manually, which is slow and can be subjective from person to person. Automated classification using machine learning provides a reproducible, scalable alternative, which is increasingly necessary as instruments like ALMA generate large volumes of high resolution data, and especially with Rubin Observatory bringing a large influx of data each new year that it's open. The scientific significance of this paper. So classifying disks automatically allows astronomers to study large populations of disks statistically, which is really important for understanding planet formation trends. This project demonstrates that even small data sets like I'm working with, when carefully processed, can produce very meaningful results. The methodology of combining domain-specific features with deep learning can also be applied in other scientific domains where high-quality but limited data sets are common, such as medical imaging or material sciences. Um, the dataset consists of 20 high-resolution ALMA continuum images. Each image was reduced to a 2D intensity map, normalized to its maximum flux, and resized to 128 by 128 pixels to standardize the input for the CNN. We also averaged the radial profiles to summarize the brightness as a function of radius, capturing the structural information. From these radial profiles, we were able to extract 5 physically motivated features: peak flux, total integrated flux, the slope of the radial intensity, the number of detectable gaps, and the average width of the rings. These features formed the input for the dense network and are part of the hybrid model as well. All right, on to disk classification labels. I categorized the disks into 3 main classes based on the number of gaps detected. Class 0 disks are smooth with no visible gaps, typically very young systems. Class 1 disks contain 1 to 2 gaps, and Class 2 disks have more than 2, with sometimes up to 26, but not in these cases. The labels are physically motivated because of the number of gaps correlate to with each disk's evolution and even potentially the presence of forming planets. Representative images from each class illustrates how the morphology changes and why both radial features and image-based information are relevant for classification. Um, So based on these three models, we implemented the architectures to compare the feature-based versus image-based learning. The dense neural network takes the radial features as input and passes them through two hidden layers before classification. The CNN operates on the full image and extracts hierarchical features using convolution layers, followed by pooling and fully connected layers. The hybrid model kind of combines both of these. It takes the CNN embeddings with the radial features, allowing the network to leverage complementary information from both models. Um, and then all models were trained using cross entropy loss and optimized with Atom at a learning rate of 0.001. We used a small batch size of 4 to ensure stability, given the small data set. Um, dense networks were trained for 50 epochs, um, along with the CNN and hybrid networks, but they converged much more quickly, um, achieving low training loss in far fewer epochs, essentially. This training procedure reflects the need for balanced convergence with overfitting risk, particularly for small data sets, which is a common statistical issue with research. Um, as expected, the dense network converged much more gradually because it relied on the five radial features, which limit the amount of information available. The CNN and hybrid models converged very quickly, first with the CNN and faster with the hybrid model, highlighting their ability to extract complex patterns from image data. The rapid decrease in loss demonstrates that models can differentiate between the disk classes effectively and efficiently, even with limited training data. And all three models achieved perfect validation accuracy. Um, Um, well, these numbers are impressive. They must be interpreted cautiously because of the validation set being so small and the class distribution is imbalanced. Nevertheless, achieving 100% accuracy suggests that the model learned physically meaningful distinctions, capturing the structural differences between the disk images and radial profiles. Um, with approximately 50% of the training data was class 1 and the other 50% was a near equal mix of 2 and 0. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, considering that the majority from the lupus survey in 2020, earlier in 2025, we learned that the majority of, as far as we know, protoplanetary disks in our region are class 1. They have between 1 to 2 rings. This also can go hand in hand with the evolution of protoplanetary disks, where they are the sort of stellar nursery, but for planets. And they're quite young when they're captured at this stage. So the likelihood of seeing very many planets may be decreased. However, we got to take that with a grain of salt. There's a lot we still don't know. Interpreting these results, the high validation accuracy should be contextualized. With only 4 disks in the training set, there's a large potential for overfitting and sensitivity to which disks are included. Despite this, the model's predictions aligned with the observed trends in larger surveys, again, like the lupus survey, and the class 1 disks dominated both the data sets, um, as well as the surveys like lupus. And overall, comparing what we know about the data and what the um, machine learning was able to determine, uh, they were all correctly classified, which is a good sign. It demonstrates that, most importantly, one of the biggest takeaway is that small data sets can reflect real patterns when curated carefully. However, it's necessary to increase your data sets wherever possible in order to find maybe more meaningful results and stronger trends. Um, these results have multiple implications. First of all, the distribution of disk classes in our dataset mirror trends seen in the larger surveys, of course, which we already said, validating the use of automated classification. Secondly, the work demonstrates that small, high quality sets can be informative. Third, by um, combining image and radial features, we provide the method that can guide survey planning. This can help later on with planning out our surveys, and highlights the importance of ensuring diverse classes and adequate resolutions to capture structures. However, when you get raw data, you don't always know if you're going to have a skewed distribution. This also is a big problem in planet detection and astronomy and astrophysics because the methods by which we detect these structures, um, are most easily done with certain types of classes and certain types of planets. Finally, classification of disks by gap structure provides insight into the formation process. Class 2 disks may host ongoing planet disk interactions, while Class 0 and 1 disks represent earlier stages. Again, so like they're much younger systems typically, but not all the time. Um, some strengths and limitations of the study that I did. The strengths include demonstrating both radial and image features are sufficient for disclassification, and that CNNs can operate effectively even on small data sets. The results align with observed astrophysical trends, which is good. Limitations include the small number of training disks, class imbalance, and the lack of data augmentation or cross validation. Therefore, the results should be interpreted as an indicative model of capability rather than a definitive generalization, at least in my opinion. Um, the future directions for this include expanding the dataset to include more disks and balancing classes, implementing more robust cross-validation strategies, and exploring regression tasks for continuous properties, such as ring spacing, gap width. Um, we also plan to apply interpretability models like GradCam to visualize what image regions drive the classification and use data augmentation to improve generalization. In conclusion, this project demonstrates the feasibility of using deep learning to classify protoplanetary disks by leveraging both radial and image features. Our models can capture meaningful morphological differences while dataset composition is critical. The study provides a strong foundation for automated disk analysis, and it suggests that machine learning will be increasingly important for future astronomical surveys. And uh, I want to say thank you to all of my professors and TAs, acknowledging their guidance. Um, and thank you for your attention. I'm happy to take any questions. If you wish to email me, that would be the best way to do so. Um, and I'll go ahead and write that on the comments. I think you can view that from here. And thank you. Um, that's everything from me. And yeah, thank you for listening. Have a great day.